Hello and welcome to Numa TV channel on YouTube. My name is Reverend Michael Angeli Oguche. Today we're going to talk about HIV and AIDS. According to the UNAIDS, about 36.9 million people worldwide live with HIV and AIDS. For some people, HIV/AIDS means death, but it should not always be so. What do people think about HIV/AIDS?
Not very much. I learned a bit about the virus at school, but I can't really remember it now really, so not really that much. I know that it sort of breaks down your immune system.
Not that much, to be honest. Learnt a bit in school, but I know it's sexually transmitted diseases. Yeah. I know I can get them. I don't really know that much, to be honest.
We hadn't heard of it, so it was entirely a non-entity to us, we didn't know. And no, didn't feel like that at all. It was a bit later on, actually, that there was a much more sort of politicised sort of view of AIDS and worrying about, the ins and outs of it and people becoming aware of it. But I think at first everybody thought it was a gay issue, totally, and nothing to do with heterosexual.
No, not anyone that I know personally.
I know no one that has AIDS, no.
I'd probably be quite worried about them, and I'd just look to, getting the best help possible for them.
I think I'd be kind of gutted for the person, but well, I'd just be there for them,
Not very sure, just because it's a sort of taboo subject, really, and people don't know enough about it to understand, so I think they're just scared.
I don't know. I don't know if people like talking about that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure. Yeah.
More education in schools and enough information possible for people who are suffer from it.
Come to the mic.
Make people more aware of it, and because we don't really learn much about it in schools and stuff, they just kind of touch on it and say where it's most common, but they don't actually say how you can go to get treatment or anything. So I think they should make us more aware of it.
So there's a lot of stigma, there's a lot of lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. And if you can remember, when HIV first came into the picture, there were all these billboards saying HIV can kill, talking about HIV being a gay problem, HIV being a problem for prostitutes, HIV being a problem for drug users. And if you look at that background and also how people were dying from the disease, it kind of, when those things are still in people's minds, when somebody is diagnosed with HIV, they think of those things, and because our communities, our societies are probably also not very ready to accept people who are HIV positive, it makes it very difficult for the HIV positive person to share this just ordinarily, like somebody would say, oh, I've got a stomachache, or I've got high blood pressure, or I've got cancer. People are more, they can easily share about that, but someone with HIV, because of all these issues surrounding HIV, cannot easily communicate, what challenges they are facing. And so that places a lot of pressure on somebody, because they can't be free to talk about what's bothering them. They can't be free to share it with friends because they don't know how they will respond. They can't be free to share it with their church mates because they don't know how they will, look at them. Will they think they were prostitutes? Will they think they've sinned? Will they think they've been using drugs? What will they think of them? So there's all this. And also people worry, okay, probably they've heard the messages about HIV being something that kills, so they are worried that they're going to die. So all these things are circulating in a person's mind, and obviously they do have mental issues when it comes to that, because they're depressed, they're isolated. They probably begin to separate themselves from friends because they fear they might discover that they are HIV positive. They begin not to trust people. They can't welcome people into their homes because maybe they feel they'll discover where they keep their medications. They can't travel freely for appointments. They can't tell their employer where they are going for a hospital appointment because they feel they might be asked why. So there are all these challenges.
And I'm not denying that it isn't there. Yes, it is there within the Muslim population, because Muslim population or Muslim communities are part of the greater, or the bigger picture anyway. But the answer to that would be strictly, remaining to your values and living by your standards, which is not to go out and just enjoy your life, as others might see okay. And I'm not saying Muslims are ideal Muslims, but for an ideal Muslim and community, Muslim community, it is a great shame that they do and do something extramarital, to commit adultery and fornication. It is considered one of the biggest sins still. We call it kaba'ir, which is not forgiven if you don't repent to God, because the minor sins would be forgiven, but for the major sins such as adultery and fornication, you need to repent to God sincerely. I consider this as an illness or disease which should be treated and which could be treated. It is not necessarily the fault of the individual, so to speak. We live in a society, unfortunately, where many of these diseases are there, and we, would also be being part of the society. Time to time, see people facing them and suffering from them. So, in my view, no, I wouldn't feel any difficulty dealing with such a situation.
Originally, there were no scriptures about AIDS in the Bible. The Apostle Paul didn't leave us any scriptures how he dealt with those issues. And so we don't see answers in the Bible. We're not getting that kind of training at universities and pastors.
I'm Reverend Canon Gideon Biamugisha. I am an Anglican priest. I'm a theologian. I'm also a teacher by profession. I am a person living with HIV. I have known that since 1992, and that has made me become part of the global movement to end the stigma, shame, denial, discrimination, inaction and misaction that is around this disease. Many people confuse being HIV positive and having full-blown AIDS. Every time I am talking, I find that people lacking distinction on that. Being HIV positive means that you have the virus that is called HIV. Being AIDS sick means that you have the symptom, you have the signs and the symptoms associated with advanced AIDS illness. So for me now, I would say I am HIV positive, but I am not AIDS sick. In 1998, I was HIV positive and AIDS sick. I had all the signs and all the symptoms one would call AIDS, advanced AIDS. But when I started treatment and the treatment was successful, now I don't have signs and symptoms. In fact, my viral load has been undetectable for quite some time now, and my CD4 count is unbelievably high, 1,360 as I speak. So people should differentiate that, especially when we are trying to deal with the stigma that comes from people fearing quick death. When you fear quick death, it's because when they say you are positive, your mind hears, I am AIDS sick. When you tell a friend, you say I'm positive, the friend hears, oh, he's going to die. If you are a family member and a son or daughter or a parent tells you I'm positive, you don't hear I'm positive, you hear, oh, he's going to die. And that's something we need to differentiate, that you can be positive and live a long, productive and healthy life before you develop the symptoms. But even when you have developed the symptoms, the ARVs can reverse those symptoms so that you gain your health.
Thank you for watching this video. Please share. You have played your part.